Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to have a look at the psychic phase and the shooting phase. I promised you a psychic phase, but unfortunately none of the characters on the board have any psychic powers. In the Warhammer universe they are known as psykers, and these are characters who can control the warp, and with that they can create devastating attacks and cause lots and lots of damage. However, none of these guys have that ability, so I promised you a psychic phase and there is not one. However, I will do a video with the Thousand Suns at some point where you will get to see what the psychic phase can do and see how powerful it is. So, as we have now psykers, we are going to move on to the shooting phase. Now, in the previous video, the Death Watch players had the initiative, and the Death Guard players did not. So this means that the Death Watch players will get to shoot first with any readied characters. So in the movement phase, we had 2 people who did not move, and 1 over here. Because they did not move, they get to shoot before anyone else. So I'm going to start with this fella. His name is Shotam, and he has a Deathwatch frag cannon, which is an unbelievably powerful weapon. You need to measure the distance off their weapon profile. So I am going to use a Deathwatch frag cannon shell, which has a 24-inch range. So I'm going to measure the distance that I want to shoot. Now I'm going to shoot this guy because he's got the blight launcher that is very powerful. So I will measure the distance. He is about 10 inches. Anyone who is over half distance of your weapon, you are classed at long range. And for most weapons that means that it's harder to hit them with. Because he is not at long range, we don't have any changes there. What you also need to do is see if he's obscured. When I say obscured, it means that you can't see them as well. So in order to do this, it's worth getting down to the character's eye level and seeing if they can. So I'm going to quickly run around the other side of the board, have a look, and he is not obscured. So I can see the whole of him. Even though there is cover here, this cover is not in the way of this character. So I will get to shoot him, and he has an Assault 2 weapon, which means I get to roll 2 dice. And the different types of weapons let you do different things. So with an assault gun, if you run, you can still attack. So if he decided to advance to here, he could then attack with his gun. Normally, if you charge like this fella, you cannot attack. He conveniently also has an assault gun, so he will be able to attack in his combat round. So, Assault 2, 2 dice. It has a strength of 7 versus a toughness of 5. First off, we need to see if it hits. So our ballistic skill is 3. He's not at long range, he's not obscured, so there is no penalties. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. If it's a 3 or more, where I got a 1 and a 3, so this has failed, so I'm going to get rid of that one, but one of them is hit. Now, if the target is within half range, attacks are resolved with strength 9 and 3 armor piercing. Now, the toughness of this guy is 5. If it is double the strength versus the toughness, it's a 2 to hit. If it's higher than, we'll start from the bottom. I think that's the easiest way here. If your strength is lower than the toughness, you need to roll a 5. If it is equal, you have to roll a 4. If it is higher, it is a 3. If it is double, it is a 2. So strength 9 versus toughness of 10 is not double, so I need to roll a 3 or higher to wound him. So let's see if that happens. I rolled a 6, so he definitely wounds him. Once you have wounded, you get to see if it is saved. So he has an AP of 3, and the saving throw for my Blight Launcher on Bustus is 3. So I now need to roll a 6, otherwise he is taking that damage. And I rolled a 4, so he takes that damage. These guys have an amazing ability called Disgustingly Resilient. With that, I get to, when I take a wound, roll a die. If I get a 5 or more, it does not take that damage. So I'm going to roll it, and I got a 1, so he takes that damage. So not very good there. The opposite player then rolls a die to see if he is out of action or just takes a flesh wound. So if it is a 4, 5 or 6, he is out of action. And I rolled a 5, so he, unfortunately, is gone. So, because he is now has no shot, I can take this and I can put that he has done his part. It would now alternate to the other player. Now, because I've just killed the guy who is readied, they can't do anything. So it now goes to our other guy who is readied. And this guy has an Infernus Heavy Bolter, which is a great gun. Even though I have someone right here, I cannot shoot him because he's in combat. If you're in combat, you cannot shoot into combat, especially that it's a flamethrower, so I'd burn my guy, who I don't want to do. So I'm going to shoot at this fella. So I'm going to measure the distance, and he is 8 inches away, which means I can use my flamethrower. So that's what I'm going to do. It has Assault D6. So again, if I ran, I could still use this. Assault D6 means I roll a 6-sided die to see how many attacks he has. He has 3, so I get 3 dice. Now this weapon automatically hits, so I don't need to roll a hit roll. I can go straight to wound rolls. Its strength is 5 versus toughness of 5, so I need to roll 4s to wound. And I only rolled 1 4. So because of that, I only have to try and save 1 attack. It has armor piercing of 1. My guy has a saving throw of 3, so I need a 4 or higher. I rolled a 1. He's disgusting and resilient, so I can re-roll. Well, I can roll again, and I rolled a 4, so he takes damage. 4, 5 or 6, he's out of action. It was a 5. He is out of action. So far, it is not going very well for the Nurgle side. Poor Death God. So, they are now done. You can then shoot with anyone else who was not shot. So, I have this guy over here. He's the only person on the Death Guard side who can shoot, because everyone else is dead. He is going to attempt to shoot this guy over here, only because this guy is obscured, so you can see how this works. So he has a bolt gun at 24-inch range, and he's within 12 inches, so it is not long range. And not only that, bolt guns are rapid fire weapons. Rapid fire means that if you're in half distance, you get to shoot twice instead of once. So I get to roll 2 dice. His ballistic skill is a 3. However, he is obscured. You see, he's behind this scenery here. If he wasn't, so like this guy, it would be a 3 to hit. Because he's obscured, it makes it harder to hit him. So it's, I have to add 1 to it. So it's actually going to be a 4 to hit. If I attempted to shoot this guy over here, who is out of the half range, not only would I only get to shoot once because he's not in half range, I would also have to shoot for long range, which is another 1. So if he was in cover and long range, it'd be a 5 instead of a 3. This guy is only in cover, so it's going to be a 4 instead of a 3. So I'm going to roll both dice. Hopefully it will hit. Oh, perfect. A 6 and a 5, so that definitely hit. So I'm now going to roll again to see if it wounds. Now it's a strength of 4 versus a toughness of 4, so I need 4s or higher. I got a 2 and a 1. So I might have hit him, but his armour protected him, bounced off, and nothing more is done. Finally, this guy can shoot, so he is going to shoot at him because he can see him, but he's obscured. So even though he is at half range, he can not see him particularly well. Now he has a heavy weapon. Heavy weapons, if you move, you have to add 1 to your throw. So they're particularly difficult to use. So his ballistic skill is a 3. Because he has a heavy weapon and he moved, it is now a 4. And because he is obscured, that adds another 1, so it's going to be a 5 to hit. If he was at long range as well, it'd be a 6. But luckily he's not, so it's only a 5. So I'm going to roll the die. He got a 6 and a 1, so one of them hit. They're doing very well today. Strength of 4 versus toughness of 5, which means he needs to get a 5 to wound. And he got a 1, so armour protected him. All of the people have now shot, and so this is the end of the shooting phase. In the next phase, we will look at the combat, the fight phase.